The Feed.
Podcast movement recap. YouTube supporting RSS feeds by end of year. A second hosting company, Triton, has integrated with YouTube metrics. Commentary on video versus audio and why it's okay to just have an audio podcast. Libsyn unveiled Libsyn EDU to empower educators and students in podcasting. Apple announces subscription analytics, more delegated delivery partners, and Linkfire for podcasts. Relay.fm launched their annual St. Jude fundraiser, the Shure MV-X2U USB interface, and stats, mean and median numbers. Hello, I am Elsie Escobar, Director of Community and Content for Libsyn, and this is episode 252 of The Feed, the official Libsyn podcast, the podcast that takes it beyond how to podcast into keeping you podcasting with podcasting tips and information for the everyday podcaster and taking you inside Libsyn. Now, if you're looking for some love for your podcast, we would love to feature you on the show. Send in your 30 to 60 second promo. How do you do it? Attach it to an email and send it to thefeed@libsyn.com. If you don't have a promo, but you want your voice on the show, ask us a question or add to the conversation that you hear on an episode, send us voice feedback. You can call us at 412-573-1934, or you can use SpeakPipe at speakpipe.com/thefeed. I'll be keeping an eye out on your email, and then I'll send you all of the information. It is first come, first serve, so the sooner you get your info to me, the sooner I get you in the queue. All of you that are preparing some special end-of-year content, send the promos over ASAP. And now on to our main conversation with Rob Walsh, VP of Podcaster Relations at Libsyn, as well as my co-host, right after the first promo of the episode, the Strokecast with a special episode.
Welcome to Strokecast. Summer may be swimsuit season, but despite what the ads say, you do not want to get toned. Tone and spasticity is a common result of brain injury. It's why many stroke survivors walk around with their hands in a fist and their elbow bent. Dr. Wayne Feng, a researcher from Duke University, joins us to talk about tone and spasticity after stroke and how to treat it. Visit strokecast.com/tone basics to hear the conversation.
Hello, Rob.
Good generic time of the day, Elsie.
Happy we're not longer a podcast movement. We're home.
Yes, we are home. It was good to see you and others, and it was definitely busy.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind of an experience for sure. Yep. Might as well start, right? Why don't we start by doing a little bit of a recap, because it's been a while since I think all of us have been at a show.
And we say all of us, we mean almost, we had a lot of people there from Libsyn.
Yeah, we did. There was a lot of stuff going on for sure. All right. So what happened? You didn't really get a chance to walk the show floor this time, huh?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to walk around and talk. Now, part of that is I wound up being busy all day Tuesday and Wednesday, and normally I do those kind of walks the last day. Mm-hmm. But I had to leave early Thursday morning, like 7 a.m., so that I could get home in time to meet the teacher night for my oldest son, the very last one. He's a senior. For him. So really, that was not so much about meeting the teachers, but about supporting my wife, who each of these last one events kind of brings out the tears. So,
oh my gosh!
So it was definitely more about being home in time to support the wife, because she starts crying as we're walking through the hallways. I'm like, you gotta stop crying.
Oh,
yes. You could tell the parents that were the seniors who had their first senior. So anyway, but back to podcast movement. I did go through the book and I looked to see what exhibitors I had not heard of before. And it was a high percentage. It was 26.47% to be precise.
Oh my gosh.
One of them I need to thank for the socks they gave away. They are the exact color of the Chiefs. So score. I'll wear those during Chiefs games. One of those that I was not familiar with, but did talk with at the Libsyn booth, they came over, was Trailergram from Amaze Media Labs.
Uh-huh.
And it is one I'm going to try out. They will promote your trailer for your show, which if you are going to promote something for your show, that is it, right? We always said, have a good trailer for your show. I did in my presentation say, do not hire a company that will promote the direct URL of any of your episodes or promote a landing page with a player for your episodes. Those will goose your numbers and get you kicked off of pretty much every advertising platform these days. But Trailergram is doing the right thing, and they're promoting your trailer, which is what you want from a marketing company. In my presentation, yes, that marketing advice for your podcast is BS 2023. I called out those that are doing what I call loot coin marketing. And that is where a direct URL of an episode is used to be listened to by someone playing video games so they can collect loot coins in the game. It is annoying to the player. And as I showed in my presentation, completely worthless per gaining an audience. Once the loot coin marketing campaign is turned off, the audience drops back to where it was before, as really any reasonable person would expect it to. That was kind of the big thing I was trying to make people aware of. There are companies out there now that are promising, that silver bullet for your audience growth, getting listeners, but really all they're doing is goosing you with bogus downloads that are easily recognizable by your podcast host. And if you're in an advertising campaign, will get you booted. And we recently booted a few shows for using those services. Now, back to the Libsyn booth, we had really great traffic. I was busy all the time at the booth, and we had a ton of people at the show and at the booth. So, again, great traffic. Thanks, Dan and Jared and team, Podcast Movement, for bringing all those people in. I did get to see the booths around us, and one of them was Nomono, Nomono. Maybe Nomano would probably make more sense in the audio space, which had the coolest gadget at the show from what I heard, because again, I didn't get to all the booths, which is the sound capsule, which comes with 4 wireless stellar mics, a Wi-Fi connected multi-track recorder that captures room tone in 3D alongside the recordings for each wireless mic, and a portable charging case. It is not cheap. It is $2,500. But if you are a producer going to remote locations where you have 2 to 4 co-hosts and your job is to record them, this could be a nice solution and save you time editing, especially if your clients are not the type that like to be holding a mic or can stay on mic and tend to be in a place that might have a bunch of background noise. Rob Greenlee was working with them at the booth, so he's working with them now. We'll have a link to it in the show notes. So that's my short, and we'll talk more about it, but that was my quick intro encapsulation of a podcast movement. I have a little soapbox here in a minute, but anyway, Elsie, your thoughts?
A little soapbox moment. Yeah, no, I didn't really get a chance to be at the booth too much because I was exactly like you were. I got there on Monday, kind of late-ish, right? And then I went directly to start recording and setting up to record because you did a lot of video recording there, and it was really exciting and fun. I loved doing that. It was amazing. So I hope to be able to have that information out very soon for some of the video stuff that we took in there. But I think the team as a whole had a really good time. My session was really nice. It was great to be able to be on stage twice for a panel and for my session to be able to talk through all of that stuff. But it was such a whirlwind. And all I know is that there were a ton of people there. There was just so many folks. And I was very, very excited to be able to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time. It was just so great to go through all the meetups and everything. So that was my favorite thing to do.
There were obviously around these events, there are announcements that come out. You put in this first one here from YouTube.
Yes. So in terms of the YouTube stuff, YouTube now supports, or they're in the middle of starting to support RSS feed uploads for podcasters by end of year, plus private feeds in YouTube Music. And so this is part of a TechCrunch article here announcing that, quote, this week at the Podcast Movement Conference, YouTube product lead Steve McLendon confirmed the platform will be rolling out to support RSS uploads for podcasters by the end of year, among other updates. The new functionality had been in beta testing since earlier this year as a strategic invite-only pilot. YouTube additionally confirmed to TechCrunch it's rolling out support for podcasts on YouTube Music by the end of year as well. Also, at the event, the company announced that it would support the ability for users to add RSS feeds to their library within YouTube Music, including private feeds. This would make YouTube Music more competitive with standalone podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts, Overcast, and others. And it puts YouTube Music ahead of Spotify in terms of supporting private RSS feeds.
We'll have more information as those features roll out, but it was good to hear. Again, as we always say, in Libsyn, we already support publishing to YouTube. Go in, go to settings, go to social, set up YouTube, get a playlist, and you can get your podcast automatically converted from audio to video and published into YouTube and get the stats back, which we've supported those stats back since the beginning of the year. But that's something we've harped on many episodes. There was a second hosting company has now integrated with YouTube metrics. Like I said, we did earlier this year. Someone told me they claim to be doing it the first. No. For the feed, as an update, we are seeing YouTube at around 4.1% consumption on average for the last 5 episodes from YouTube. Per those episodes of the feed, when I looked at it, that puts YouTube in 5th place behind Apple Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, and Podcast Addict. So it's ahead of Spotify and Chrome for us, Elsie.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not insignificant, and why we keep telling you to connect your show to YouTube, but it's not transformative as some make it out to be. By the way, if you discovered this podcast via YouTube, where you stumbled upon it, i.e. the first place you ever heard of the feed was YouTube, please email me, rob@libsyn.com. I have to imagine there are a few people that discovered us that way, and I just kind of want to get a feel and ask a couple of questions. But anyway, if you discovered us via YouTube, via stumbling upon, please email me. I want to hear your story.
That would be amazing. Yes. Shout out to folks who have discovered the feed on YouTube. All right. And so you were quoted, Rob, in a in the latest HotPod newsletter. You were quoted a little bit in it.
Most of my quote was about me not looking like the person you want to see on video.
Yes, absolutely. So this was written by Amrita Khalid, who is taken over currently for Ariel Shapiro, who is the kind of original writer for HotPod, who is currently on maternity leave. And Amrita is doing such a fantastic job taking over for a little bit. And so cool, just a quick behind the scenes when we were at the Libsyn party as we were heading back. I took an Uber with her all the way back to the hotel. So it was fantastic. Great, smart person. And so she wrote this up. I'm like, wow, this thing came out so fast. And I was just catching up. She's already written a whole newsletter, like doing a huge recap with all of these words. And I'm still just trying to breathe from being at the event. But anyway, shall we continue on? So what are some things that she quoted you?
Well, she also pointed out my comments in my presentation
Yes.
about not being so fast to jump into video. And I posted this thread on Twitter. Can you say that?
Yes, you can. I mean, that's what it's called.
I didn't actually post this thread on Threads, but I posted this on Twitter /X this week, post podcast movement. Quote, I read multiple articles that say this year's podcast moment 23 was all about video. Same as last year, by the way. Funny thing is video was part of podcasting, actually a big part in the early days. Most of the bigger shows were video in those early days. Rocket Boom, Ask a Ninja, TKBR TV, Hot for Words, Geek Brief TV, and more. If you haven't heard of them, yeah. They say, they, as in people writing articles, say, get into video, and those people at the conference were saying, get into video like it's new. What no one wants to point out is the competition in video is far, far more daunting. There are 400,000 active podcasts, which I pointed out in my presentation. There are hundreds of millions of people posting videos. And you also compete with Netflix, HBO, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Video, Apple TV, Paramount, Peacock, Crunchyroll, Live Sports, CNN, and on and on and on. It is harder and much, much more expensive to produce video on par with the, quote, professionals, unquote, than, say, with audio. With audio and $100 mic and a quiet room, you're basically on par with NPR audio-wise, unless you've really messed something up. Oh, and did I mention there is more time in the day to consume audio? So yeah, more comp, less opportunities for consumption, and a much higher bar to get on par. Good luck with that. The smart podcasters will not get distracted by shiny thing video and stay the course, just like they did not get distracted by live audio or Second Life or ... It is okay. No, it is better than okay to keep just doing audio if that is what you want to do. Long live the audio podcast, unquote. And I think I may have been one of the only people there to say out loud what I believe many think, and that is it is okay to just do audio. Remember, you can easily get your audio into YouTube with us anyway, as we've talked about earlier, and get another 4% or some percent pop. But pure video is way, way, way overrated if you start doing video just because you think it'll take your show to the next level. Remember, there are levels above and there are levels below where you are now. Be careful what you wish for. If you take your eye off the ball, your show may end up not at the next level you were hoping for. That's my little soapbox rant.
That's your little soapbox rant?
Thoughts?
Well, I think that there's some people that are doing video first podcasts, and good for them. I mean, if that's what they want to do, that's
and
great.
I'm not taking anything away from that. And there are some podcasts that make a lot of sense to be video. Mm-hmm. And as in the Hot Pod article, there was an agreement with me that not every podcast is meant to be video.
Exactly. Yep. I 100% agree on that for sure.
Everyone's saying, get into video, get into video, get into video. Some people get into video that shouldn't. And that's my concern. And I don't want to see people hurt their show because they got into video because it was the next shiny thing.
Absolutely. I feel that if you want to, those are two completely separate art forms, if you will, to be able to do things like that. There are benefits. And actually, for some people who are comfortable behind the camera, prefer the camera, they just have an affinity to being able to have a camera and feel like they can deliver something when the camera is on, great, right? Because there's some folks who are absolutely more natural that way. In the same way that when we're creating our podcasts, there are some of us who really like to script our podcast. And others who feel a lot more comfortable just speaking off the cuff, right? And I think that, let's say, when Jess and I do She Podcasts, she is fantastic at being able to be entertaining off the cuff and in the moment. I don't feel very comfortable that way. Like I really like to work off of a framework and things like that. Whereas I could just, start talking to Jess and we could have a show. But that really is just because of her, kind of. If I'm doing my own, and I promise I'll get back to the video portion. But if I'm doing let's say a solo podcast, I would and have. I've had to craft it out. Like I have to sit down and prepare it, and I have to be more than bullet points. I want to be succinct. Like there's a way in which that I want to work in order to do that. And there's some people who can literally work off of a topic and or maybe like 3 bullet points, and they can be amazing. Just turning on the mic and going. It's the same way for video. With video, sometimes you have to there's so many aspects of it. You have to make sure that you are connecting with the people on the camera. You have to make sure that there are other layers of you being in frame to make sure that everything is working. All of the connections are working as well, that there's the right type of camera maybe, and or make sure that the audio is working. Like there's just so many other aspects to being able to also record video and also handling those larger video files. So yes, it is by far so much easier, I feel, to record an audio podcast. But I do see, and for sure, Rob, I have seen my own behavior change when there's a couple of, now there's even more podcasts that I prefer to consume on YouTube versus audio. I'm subscribed, if you will. I'm following the show in Apple Podcasts or Castro. And I'm also subscribed to their channel on YouTube. And I prefer to consume it on YouTube first. And they have a lot of people watching their YouTube videos. So, and it's just a talking head. So it really depends on your show and how comfortable you are with it. That's it.
Yeah. And I'm not saying don't do video. I'm just saying don't do video for the wrong reason. And the wrong reason is doing video because everyone's telling you to do video. Correct. You need to tell yourself you want to do video, not listen to what the latest thing, people jump on these bandwagons. Oh, let's promote video. I sound smart. Doesn't make you smart. It's just, that's the cool, shiny thing. 3 years ago, some of these same people were saying, hey, do live audio, right? And so it's just, They lick their fingers, stick it in the wind, see which direction it's blowing, and that's the way they go. We've supported video at Libsyn since Libsyn started. So it's not like I'm biased against it in any way, shape, or form. I just happen to have seen what happens to people when they take their eye off the ball. And I've seen good shows go to the next level, which was 3 levels down and not 1 level up. So keep your eye on the ball. That was my message around video. And that was what was also picked up in that article. She agreed, not every show should be that way. Today on iOS should never, ever be a video podcast the way the main show's done. Can I do a segment on video here or there? Sure. And I did when I was producing on a regular basis. I would do open box videos and certain things that you have to do video for, right? Open box audio, not so good. Yeah. Open box video, much better. So knowing when the content fits is important.
Yeah. And there's like another thing that I was thinking about this, because we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that's going on with Apple later on with Linkfire and things like that too. But in order for you to gain traction in any platform, really, you have to promote it. Mm-hmm. You have to tell people to listen or watch in these links, right? You have to tell people that. And I have seen a direct correlation as to our consumption on YouTube, right? The feed's consumption on YouTube, directly proportional to my ability to promote the show being there. So in the last episode 250, because we were at Podcast Movement, that episode went out on that Tuesday, which was the first day of Podcast Movement. And thus, it just went live and I didn't touch it, nor tell anybody. Like I didn't even say, hey, we have an episode up or anything like that, because I was in the middle of doing the other stuff. And you can see that on the data. You can see in terms of consumption for episode 250 versus just the one before that. Even though we have a lot of people subscribed to the YouTube channel, in order for people to consume your episodes, you have to promote them and you have to give them a link and you have to choose where you want to send people. It doesn't matter. Like we can do it passive in the way that it was this time, or you are going to be directly wanting to grow a specific channel. And if you're looking to grow your YouTube channel, you not only have to publish consistently more than even podcasts, because the direct algorithm within YouTube, the expectations of the stuff that you're putting out there, and weirdly, as anything else, the more you publish, the more that the algorithm starts to serve your episodes and all of that stuff to the people who are subscribed to your show. And then you can start to monetize even more, because it would behoove you for people to consume your entire podcast on YouTube. But you also have to ask yourself, are you undercutting your audio podcast by promoting your YouTube stuff? Right? You have to make those decisions. And if you can sell both of them for your audience and then cater to both, you're going to have to create a marketing plan around both. And you're going to have to do that.
And just for the audience's perspective, because they don't see our stats, Elsie, when she was mentioning that she didn't promote episode 250 and did on 249, we had 5.9% consumption on YouTube, and 250, it was 2.7.
Yeah, it's half. It literally is half. It's like, and I've been seeing, and this was not the only time I noticed that, because the first time I did it consciously, I'm like, I'm not going to promote to see what happens. This last time I didn't do it consciously. It was just, I just couldn't do it. But there definitely is a big drop if I don't promote the YouTube link specifically when I post stuff. And now what I've been doing, even in the last one, Rob, just for your information, in the last promotion that I did for episode 249, I crafted, just a regular summary of the episode. And then in terms of links, I said, you can find us, and I put the pod.link.net just in link, and so that people can listen to the audio wherever it is that they wanted to listen to their audio. I put a link to our show notes, just the feed.libsyn.com/site, which is, so at the direct link to that. And I put the link to the YouTube channel, those three in the one post. And that's what happened. So there was no specific to YouTube post on that, but that still got folks who decided they wanted to watch on YouTube or listen on YouTube better. So anyway, all right. Enough of that.
Next up, I just wanted to mention next year, Podcast Movement will be in Washington, D.C. at the Gaylord Hotel in D.C. I like when they're at the Gaylord because the Gaylords are big. You don't have to be everyone can be at the same hotel, and that makes more community at the event. And I love that part of it. So it's not just about during the day and the events, but the evenings and the mornings. It's a better community feel. So kudos for them picking another Gaylord Hotel, August 19th to 22nd. It's a 50-50 shot. I'm going to miss my first PM next year, though, as that is right around when college kicks off. So I'm crossing my fingers, hoping Henry's college of choice starts earlier in August. Right now, his top two choices both start classes on August 19th, which is the first day of the event. So we'll see. I'm definitely probably 50-50. Just depends.
I'm definitely probably.
But yeah, I'm definitely probably. I don't know. Yeah, I know. That didn't sound good. Clearly not something I scripted. Yeah, I was just looking at the calendar and going, took his first two there. His third choice or fourth choice is earlier in August. So it wouldn't be an issue on that. But yeah, if he gets his first two, and I'm hoping he does, they both have classes kick off the first day of school is August 19th. Now, one of them is nearby, real close, and I would imagine we would drop him off. The orientation will be the week before, so it might work out. So anyway, I'm crossing my fingers, hoping it works out, and I'm feeling really bad for my son Porter, who will then be here with my wife for that first week of my son's school, and I'm off on a trip, and poor Porter's my wife's just going to cling to him like a duck on a Cheeto. Anyway, this could be a good time for a promo.
A promo, yes. Let's do the second promo of the episode. This is modern.net.
Get ready for the Modern.net show. Premiering September 8th, it's the podcast for all things Modern.net. No more sifting through JavaScript discussions. We're all about Modern.net, aka .NET 8 onwards. Extreme performance, accessibility hacks, exclusive Microsoft interviews. It's all here. Hosted by Jamie, each episode is an informal chat, representing you, the listener, asking all the right questions. All levels welcome. Beginner or pro, we've got your back.
Thank you. And folks,
Yay,
please send in your promos. Promote your show.
Y'all, yes, absolutely. Send in your little trailers, your little promos. Go ahead and get them in here. We really need them. And plus, it's so fun to be able to get so many voices every year and the exposure to your show. It's so fun. Okay, so we have another PR here. This is Libsyn EDU. Libsyn unveils Libsyn EDU to empower educators and students in podcasting. Libsyn is proud to announce the launch of Libsyn EDU, an innovative podcast educational program aimed at fostering excellence in podcasting and nurturing the next generation of podcasting talent. John W. Gibbons, interim CEO and chief product officer at Libsyn, said, quote, "At Libsyn, we deeply value the educators and institutions' crucial roles in shaping the minds of future generations. We recognize the significance of education and how it transforms lives. With this appreciation, we're proud to introduce Libsyn EDU, our newest podcast educational program designed to support and empower educators and students in the podcasting space," unquote. Libsyn EDU is set up to redefine the educational landscape for aspiring podcasters, equipping them with the knowledge, skills, and connections required to thrive in the ever-evolving podcasting industry. As part of the program, Libsyn will equip academic institutions with discounted access to its suite of industry-leading hosting and monetization tools and offerings. Students will also enjoy supplemental coursework developed by industry experts. This coursework will cover various aspects of podcasting, including production techniques, storytelling, marketing strategies, audience engagement, measurement, and monetization. In addition, Libsyn EDU partners and participants will have the privilege of engaging with thought leaders and influential figures in the podcasting realm through guest speaker sessions and on-campus events. These interactions will provide invaluable insights and foster connections with professionals at the forefront of the podcasting industry. Additionally, Libsyn will provide essential tutorials and recommendations for studio and recording equipment, ensuring that students have the necessary tools to create high-quality podcasts. Furthermore, participants will have access to industry research, empowering them to stay informed about emerging trends and best practices. As part of this transformative program, students will gain access to a wide array of resources, including a thoughtfully crafted supplemental coursework, industry-leading hosting and monetization tools, guest speaker sessions, and access to a vibrant community of podcasting enthusiasts. Libsyn is also announcing the creation of the Libsyn Fellowship, supported by a grant from Libsyn for a student enrolled in the Podcasting and Audio Reportage Master's Concentration at NYU's Journalism Institute at the Graduate School of Arts and Science. The Libsyn Fellow will be chosen by a panel of NYU arts and science faculty and conduct original research focused on podcasting in consultation with faculty. Libsyn selected NYU's Journalism Institute for its Libsyn Fellowship as it offers the first graduate-level journalism program specializing in audio podcasting. Andy Rogers, Senior Director of Partnerships at Libsyn, said, quote, "Libsyn EDU provides educators with the supplemental tools and resources they need to help empower students to discover their voice and path in podcasting. The development of Libsyn EDU and the Libsyn Fellowship exemplify our commitment to nurturing the growth of podcasting, supporting the visionary minds in podcasting academia, and empowering the next generation of podcast creators." Sarah Morio, Director of Marketing Operations at Libsyn, added, quote, "We look forward to building on our NYU relationship for years to come, while also providing students worldwide with invaluable resources and opportunities to succeed in their podcasting journey," unquote. Libsyn EDU hosting plans are priced as low as 75% discount off regularly priced plans. The plan includes access to both Libsyn Connect and comprehensive feature-rich recording solution that provides creators with everything they need to remotely record the highest quality interviews in Libsyn Studio, an all-in-one podcast creation platform for new creators to plan, launch, and distribute their content. Additional hosting plans like Libsyn EDU Plus and Libsyn Pro are also available at the enterprise and institutional level. For more information about Libsyn EDU, podcast programs, and courses available from our partners and various student resources, academic institutions, educators, and students, you can visit libsyn.com/education or email education@libsyn.com. Wow. That was a lot.
That was a lot. So, one of the parts of the Libsyn EDU Plus gives the ability for an education facility to have multiple shows and different levels of access. And one of those is the ability for the students to upload, but not actually publish live. So the professor, teacher can listen to the episode before releasing it. This way, in case the person says something controversial that offends the 40% on the left or 40% on the right, the teacher doesn't lose their job. I heard a couple professors that I had talked with that said, yeah, the ability to make sure what is released is not offensive to somebody, which is difficult these days, that was really a plus for them.
Good. Yeah. This program, Sarah and Andy have really been working very hard to make this happen for a long time with tons of meetings with universities. And the programming that we are going to be supplying is going to be top notch. It is very well thought out. We have been advised by folks who are very well versed in teaching. So not necessarily, we obviously know podcasting. We know podcasting inside out. Our team is some of the highest educated as it pertains to podcasting, and we can teach about all of the layers within podcasting. But what we have also been really clear about is how to best teach by consulting and being able to create a program that is of the highest level of value for educational institutions, which is different than when you buy a course online, right? There's a difference between that because there are standards of excellence and standards, educational standards that you need to have when you offer curriculum within a university system, and particularly master's programs and things like that. So we are very, very aware and are taking it incredibly seriously. So the content that's going to be coming out from that is top notch. And I'm so excited by it. It's going to be so great. So great. Yay, team. Okay. Moving forward here, we have a release that also happened at Podcast Movement. And this is from Apple. Introducing subscription analytics, more delegated delivery partners, and Linkfire for podcasts.
Okay, so Apple had a few of these announcements on August 21st for Podcast Movement. And one was about a few more partners supporting delegated delivery, something we've supported for a year now. Another was about subscription analytics, which if you are offering a subscription, looks nice. We'll have a link in the show notes where you can read up more on those first two items. And then there is the third item that I think all podcasters would be interested in. This is Apple's partnership, and that's with Linkfire, and it's for podcasters. And here's what Apple had to say in their release, and I'll read this. Quote, Linkfire, the marketing platform used by top artists and labels, is expanding into podcasting this fall with a toolkit built for podcasters featuring an exclusive integration with Apple Podcasts. With a Linkfire account, creators will be able to generate an unlimited number of smart links to landing pages for their podcasts and measure the ways listeners engage with them while respecting listeners' privacy. These pages, which are easy to set up and work across devices, are designed to connect listeners to shows and subscriptions on Apple Podcasts. Creators can also link to their shows on other apps and feature related products, such as social channels, newsletters, merch stores, and live events. Using the Linkfire Insights dashboard, creators will be able to measure real-time user engagement with these links and pages, including anonymized visits and click-through rates. As listeners use these pages to access Apple Podcasts, creators can view all new engagement insights, including whether a listener has played an episode or followed a show on Apple Podcasts. Let me repeat that. Including whether a listener has played an episode or followed a show on Apple Podcasts. Creators who offer Apple Podcast subscriptions and are enrolled in the Apple Podcast affiliate program can add their affiliate token to also measure free trials, subscriptions, subscription proceeds, and affiliate commissions generated using these links. These industry-leading insights, which are aggregated and anonymized to protect user privacy, can be viewed across links and over various time periods, making it possible to reliably attribute performance to a specific channel, campaign, or promotion. This means creators can use Linkfire for podcasts to measure the performance of audio cross promotions, digital ads, or a limited subscription offer, such as an extended free trial. Jeppe Forfelt, and I'm sorry, Jeppe, if I got your last name wrong, Linkfire co-founder and CCO said, quote, Linkfire for podcasts is an absolute game changer for podcast marketing. Through our exclusive partnership with Apple Podcasts, the world's leading podcast platform, Linkfire for Podcasts delivers all new engagement insights that unlock new marketing capabilities for creators while respecting listeners' privacy. We're excited to see the creative ways podcasters promote their shows using this innovative toolkit, unquote. Linkfire will be available to all creators and shows worldwide for free this fall. Additional features can be unlocked with a subscription to Linkfire for podcasts starting at $9.99 per month. Creators can learn more and register to be notified when Linkfire for Podcasts is available at linkfire.com/podcast, unquote. This will be very interesting as it looks to give insight on what people do once you send them to Apple Podcasts, which up to now has mostly been a black box where you really had no idea how well a campaign to send people to Apple Podcasts was really working. For the free offering, the site says, quote, unlimited ad support, smart links, and landing pages to connect your followers to everything you do. So again, it's an ad-supported smart link and landing pages. That's the free offering. For $9.99 a month offering, it says, quote, more customization and control for creators seeking to elevate their branding and gain more followers. I guess that means no more ads. I'm hoping that's what that means. For $24.99 a month, the offering, it says you can amplify your marketing with pre-release campaigns and analytics tailored specifically to meet the needs of artists and creators. There's also a $49.99 a month offering for teams. I signed up to be notified when this is ready to go, and we'll have links in the show notes, and I am sure we'll be talking about this one in more detail in the future. But wow, being able to have an ad campaign you run to promote your podcast and see what actually happens in Apple Podcasts, that's going to be nice. You're going to really know now, hey, did this campaign on this podcast work versus this campaign on this other podcast? Excited to give this a try and see how it works.
Me too. I think that, I did talk to Zach a little bit about this stuff, and this is sort of like and I'm sure like this kind of service is very much like a lot of the link in bio services that are currently out there. I use one called Beacons. There are many other ones that you can use. But the interesting thing about the Linkfire as it differentiates with a lot of the LinkedIn profiles is that the privacy component is always leading, which is something that, as you know, Apple really advocates for. So it does have, in terms of the analytics that are given, privacy is what leads here. Mm-hmm. So there's anonymized data from the behavior of people taking action. Now, what's great about Linkfire and this is that it's not just for Apple Podcasts. In fact, you can measure other links for other things. And you can expand it so that it's not just Apple Podcast centric, but the integration with Apple Podcasts is the thing that's really lovely. All that to say, I feel like we were talking about before about me promoting the YouTube link and how that works, right? So what I would like to see is which one of the social platforms that I'm promoting is the one that is going to the links that I post. And then that way you're going to be able to craft your own marketing around actual data based on what you want to happen with your podcast. Because there are some things that I've always said that it's really very challenging sometimes to directly convert podcast listeners from social. It's very challenging to do that. And your expectations that just because you share your show on social, it's going to immediately grow your audience is not correct. But maybe this will show it, right? So that you'll be able to see. Now, I'm not saying that promoting on social doesn't have value, because you need to let people know about your podcast. And I can tell you that when I see somebody share their podcast enough on social platforms, and or I follow a podcaster that says my latest episode is out and I am already subscribed, it is absolutely a little nudge to go listen to the episode, especially from podcasts that are not in my daily queue, if you will. So if I see one of the podcasts that I love, that I don't listen to every episode, but they're covering something that I do want to listen to, I will head over to Castro and I will consume that episode, even though I'm not clicking straight through from social, right? So it does have strength and you do need to engage in social channels to promote your show. But it will, I mean, I'm stepping on a limb here, Rob, to say that it does not directly convert to building an audience, a listenership. It is a marketing tool. People need to see it and then they know it. Mm-hmm. It's brand awareness, but it's not, you have to put it out there because people will listen through here. But I'm also curious, you know, given the YouTube thing, why and from where are people clicking through, right? Is it in Instagram stories? When I put the link there, is it in LinkedIn? When I share those links there, or is it in X or Threads or wherever else, right? Which is the one that's converting the most? Because then I can also go like, oh my gosh, you know what? Every time I put my links in LinkedIn, everybody clicks through. I have to do better at promoting on LinkedIn. The end, right? And then if I see nobody click through on X, then I'm just going to be like, you know what? I'll just put up one post and that's going to be it. There's no reason for me to invest more time in developing content for that platform. So I'm excited to. Yay.
It's always good to know where your marketing efforts are working and where they're not working.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And now we're going to get a little bit of a feel of how it's working with Apple Podcasts. When driving people there, which of your campaigns worked, and again, in the past, you were just hoping and trying to do like, well, I promoted to Apple Podcasts and I moved up in the charts a little. Now you'll actually be able to see, did it work or not?
Exactly. And the other fun part is that if you do, like, let's say you do move up in the charts, right? And then you look at the amount of links or click-throughs or whatever that people did, then you're going to be able to go like, oh, I need to have X amount of people take action on my link in order for me to move up the charts. So you're going to be able to see that. Mm-hmm. And that I think is also really helpful because then you can see, wow, I need to have a lot of people do it. And or, wow, it only takes X amount of people to help me move. And that's great. So both of those bits of information are really important. Oh, and speaking of Apple, though, the Apple event has been announced.
Oh, yes. Okay, so most rumors revolve around USB-C for all iPhone 15 models, of which 4 are likely to be announced: the iPhone 15, the 15 Plus, the 15 Pro, and the 15 Pro Max. At least that's what the rumor mills are generating and have been generating for a while. Size is the same as the iPhone 14 counterparts. Really nothing really exciting there on those rumors. But the USB-C does bring around the real possibility of better compatibility to USB-C mics. We shall see, right? How well it works and everything with iOS 17 and iPhone 15s when everything is released here in the fall. There are going to be some other announcements, obviously, but per the rumor mill, I think the one that will be most impactful for podcasters will be around the USB-C port. We'll be recording episode 252, our next episode, a few days after the announcement, so we can fill all of you in then per any impact to podcasters.
Yep. And still more Apple news. And this time it's about a new team member to Apple podcast team. So Stacey Goers is now Senior Manager, Product Management for Apple Podcast. And Stacey was previously Senior Product Manager, Podcast with NPR Digital Media.
Yeah, I worked with Stacey when she first started with NPR back in 2016. And NPR was hosting their podcast with Libsyn. So Stacey, congrats on the new position at Apple.
Yay, that's amazing. And more news from the podcasting space too. Relay.fm just launched their annual St. Jude fundraiser. This is their 5th year doing that. And this is probably one of the most incredible campaigns out there that is fueled by the podcasting industry. The Relay FM network has done a phenomenal job in being able to raise money for St. Jude. And as a whole, just as an FYI, St. Jude says that nearly 80% of the funding needed to grow and sustain its efforts comes from public donations. And there are a lot of different partners to help Relay FM get to their goal. One of them this year, which I think this might be their first time that they have participated in this way. I may be wrong though. So if I am, obviously, please let me know if I am wrong on this. But 9 to 5 Mac is stepping up to help out this time. Every time I mention numbers here, guys, they're actual numbers. So 925mac.com/donate.
Wait a second. The 2 was not an actual number. The 2 was a TO.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. 92205mac.com/donate. You can go in there and they are going to be sort of matching. There's some goodies and stuff like that if you do. And there's also, if you donate, you also get some rewards also if you just go to the Relay FM link to be able to match donations in there. There's all kinds of stuff and kind of create matching donations. You know, they have digital bundles and sticker bundles and digital bundles, little rewards depending upon what you donate there. It is really incredible what they've done. So they literally just announced this last probably a week and a half when you hear this episode. And at the time of this recording, they have already raised over $100,000. Their goal is $293,000 to grow on this. That is the thing for that.
You also found another little gadget from Shure.
Yep.
And you want to talk about this? Is actually,
yes,
I'm going to be spending money. You're going to make me spend money, you know.
I know. You know what, you guys? It is the Shure MV-X2U USB interface.
This is the USB-C one, which is $129. I think we may have talked about the USB micro or mini one, which is like $79, which doesn't have the gain. So there's some, I think we talked about the other one, that this is kind of like the second generation of it, the interface, which is USB-C. So I don't believe we have talked about this one before.
Okay, so what this is, it's a little compact USB interface for XLR microphones. Okay, and when I say compact, I mean compact. It's like teeny. I mean, considering what another USB interface looks like, this looks like it's just a little, I don't even, how would you describe it? It's so small. You just stick it on the end of your XLR microphone and then it's got little knobs on the back. It's kind of like a little extension to your microphone itself. It's small. And what do you have to say about it? Because I think that you are kind of excited by this.
Yeah, I mean, first off, it is small and that's nice. It makes it for portable. But it also is powerful. I mean, it's 60 dB a gain. It works with the SM58, which many of us already have, and the notorious drive-hungry SM7B, used by many podcasters as well. The interface is not cheap, $129. It's more expensive than the SM58, which is $99. It is a little less money than a Cloud Lifter, which the Cloud Lifter normally goes for $149. But the Cloud Lifter is meant for XLR to XLR connections. And if you have a really good preamp, that should still give you better performance than this in theory. But the advantage of this is that it is small and USB-C, and you can connect your SM58 to your laptop when on the road and get good audio that way without having to also bring along a USB preamp with you and a Cloud Lifter. So this, to me, makes it really nice for an addition to your mobile. Normally, I'm carrying around with me the Q2U. I could take this and my SM58, which has like almost no noise, hand noise, and is really a durable mic, and get a little bit better performance if I need to have a road mic, especially in a loud environment. The SM58 is great for that loud environment. So here's some more technical specs, descriptions on this for those that are geeky and want to know that stuff. Obviously, XLR to USB connectivity with auto level mode right out of the box. It works with dynamic and condenser mics up to 60 dB gain, 48 volt phantom power means you can level up any XLR mic. Headphone monitoring, 0 latency, which is really nice. Standard 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Mac and Windows compatible. Thank you. Connect your desktop with USB-C to USB-C cable, which they include. It is small. We mentioned that. It's a perfect addition set up for mobile. And then full control. You can access your mic output via the Shure Plus Motive desktop app and configure the DSP features such as gain, limiter, compressor, EQ, and more. And you can save your presets for quick access. Translation, you can optimize it for the mic that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
That is key because you're going to want to have different settings for this SM58 than you do for the SM7B.
There are a lot of times when people have, and this is not going to work for saving all the money, right? Because again, it's $129 to get this little tiny little device. It's so small. And part of that, it would be amazing for you to, like, let's say when you're starting a podcast, let's say somebody, you're a new podcaster, you're starting right out of the gate, somebody is willing to give you a microphone, or let's say you win a microphone at an event, because there's a lot of times, in conferences, there's giveaways, there's all kinds of giveaways. But let's say you get like an SM7B and you're like, oh, great. Now I have like this beautiful microphone and I have no way to connect it to my computer, right? With this little thing, you can. And then it's literally $129. You won this microphone, or somebody gave you an XLR microphone. Now with $129, you can put it in straight into your computer. That is so amazing. And you can carry it with you. So now you can travel with XLR microphones, just like Rob said, and you don't have to travel with an ATR 2100X or like a Samsung Q2U. You can get this in there. So I think this is so amazing. And I'm sorry to keep on harping on the fact that it's so small, but the portability of something like this, especially for podcasters that don't have the privilege of being able to be in one position, like they don't have a proper studio, it's so good. You don't have to take out a giant interface that usually you have to be putting out all the time.
Here's the big question. How will this work with the new iPhone if it has USB-C?
Yeah, that would be really
that's what I really want to find out. So,
yeah.
I mean,
could you even test it with an iPad?
With my iPad Pro.
Pro?
Yeah, I have the USB iPad Pro. So, again, another thing I can test it with. So, I haven't hit buy yet, but I'm going to after we're done recording. So I'm going to have it here probably tomorrow or Saturday because it's in stock. Yeah, and I have to do that, and I'll have to do some testing and see how does my mics sound when I connect this to various mics onto my iPad Pro.
Yeah.
But
good.
But again, if it can work with the iPhone 15, and you can take a Shure SM58 mic and this and your iPhone, and you go to a trade show and you want to interview people on the trade show floor. Oh my. you completely reduced your setup down to really small, compact package. And if you walk around CES, for example, and have to go to the whole trade show and you want to do multiple interviews at trade booths, this could be a huge advantage for those people that are doing, any type of trade show floor interviews.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. So good. Game changer.
By the way, we're not saying it works with the iPhone 15. Have no idea. We're speculating it might.
Right.
The potential is exciting. And again, I'm going to order it and I'm going to try it with my USB-C iPad Pro and see how it works with it. And hopefully if it works with it, then it should work with the iPhone 15. It might not work, and we'll let you know that too, but exciting if it does.
Yay. So good. Love it.
We love making, you're carrying a phone with you. This is just another way to get out there with a mobile setup whenever you need to record. The best mic is the mic with you, and it's better to have less to carry than more.
Absolutely. Okay. And then we have a new podcast.
Yeah. So this is Strike Force 5 with Colbert, Fallon, Kimmel, Myers, and Oliver. So the 5 key late night hosts raising money for their staffs. So they're doing this podcast as a way to help their staffs out during the writer strike. This is a 12-episode run, 3 episodes a week for 4 weeks. Congrats to their staffs for them really going out of the way, and doing this. It'll be interesting to see how well this receives, how well it does. Spotify paying some crazy money for it, I'm sure, as they tend to do. We'll see how well it does. But, it's anytime something like this comes into the podcasting space and you have these 5 late night hosts who have millions and millions of listeners or viewers, turning them into listeners. And this is, as I understand, it's going to be an audio only podcast. That's a good thing for podcasting in general, because after these 12 episodes are gone, some of these people are going to just say, hey, I like podcasting, and they're going to stick around, and that's a good thing for everybody. So we'll see how well it does. And I was actually their first follower on Twitter.
Nice. Look at you. You're fancy.
I got a little screenshot of it.
Right on.
Anyway, that all said, time for another promo.
Yeah, last promo of the episode. This is MASH Matters.
I'm Ryan Patrick, a super fan who remembers almost everything about every episode of the classic TV series MASH.
And I'm Jeff Maxwell, who played Private Igor Straminsky for 9 glorious seasons and remembers almost nothing.
Together, we discuss all things MASH, answer fan questions, and share behind-the-scenes stories you won't hear anywhere else.
We also talk to MASH royalty.
Like Loretta Swit, Mike Farrell.
And that Alda fella, too.
Listen to MASH Matters on your favorite podcast player.
And at mashmatters.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for sending in the promo. As always, please, folks, send your promos to Elsie. Promos matter. Like MASH matters, promos matter. So now let us get into Libsyn stats. And this is the median and mean numbers to see how your show measures up or your client shows. The median and mean numbers are based on all episodes released on Libsyn and Libsyn Pro in the month of July, with downloads measured until the end of August. On average, each file was about 45 days old. This is again per all shows hosted on Libsyn and Libsyn Pro. The median number for July was 133. So it's down a smidge from June's 136. The adjusted mean and average, where I throw out the top 0.5% and any files 3 or less downloads, the adjusted mean for July was 1386, up a bunch from June when it was 1308, back in line to where we were for May. 7.1% of all downloads for EPs released in July were in the 5K range or greater for downloads. That's that magical number some advertisers look for downloads for campaigns, and that was up a smidge from June's 7%. And here are some numbers to measure against. Again, to put things in perspective, if your audience, or your episodes, I should say, are getting over 133 downloads after 30 days, you are better than half the shows. If you're getting 500 downloads, you are better than 69.9% of the shows, or you're in the top 30.1%. If you are getting more than 1,200, you are better than 80% of shows. More than 3,200, you're better than 90. More than 7,400, you're better than 95. More than 17,000, you're better than 98%. And more than 29,000, you're better than 99% of the shows. July's numbers were mostly up from June's numbers, with the exception being the median number, which was down a smidge. All right. So where have we been? I think we covered that one as far as physically where we were ad nauseum earlier in the episode. But where else have you been, Elsie?
Yes. So I was on Latinas from the block to the boardroom, talking all about the things that I have done in the podcasting space and how I got in here and all kinds of stuff. It's a great episode. There will be a link in the show notes for you to listen. And anywhere other than where you've been, Rob, anything else?
Nope. No, I mean, podcast movement was it for me. And I got a couple of interviews scheduled coming up, so hopefully I'll have some to talk about. But folks, if you want to have me on your show, talk about podcasting, college basketball, Chiefs, let me know. Rob at Libsyn.com. But where we are going, so you got something here where Dave is some coming up here.
Yeah, well, actually, Dave already went. So by the time you get this, you're just going to be able to tap through to Dave's live event that we're now streaming live on YouTube every month. And Dave is going to be doing some monthly coaching / publishing your first episode of your podcast. So this is for newbies to podcasting, newbies to Libsyn. That's the audience. But go ahead and click through if you want to check that out. It's going to be amazing. And it's already going to be, live on YouTube.
All right. Where we're going, I will be attending a local show here in Nashville in September, B&M Summit. It's September 13th and 14th. I'm just going as an attendee, no sponsorship or speaking. If you're going to be attending, let me know. And that's at bnmsummit.com. I'll talk about it more on the next episode, which unfortunately I had Elsie, thank you so much for agreeing to move our show to recording on Saturday morning. So that's my fault. But yes, I'll talk about that on the next recording. I'll be going to Content Marketing World in Washington, D.C., September 26th to the 28th. I'm not presenting, but we are exhibiting. So we'll be there. Come see us at the Libsyn booth. I will be going to NAB NYC, October 24th to 26th, obviously in New York City. Libsyn will again be exhibiting at that event. Come by the booth, say hi. I'll be speaking at PodFest in Orlando. I just got a confirmation on that, and that's January 25th to the 28th. And Libsyn, of course, will be exhibiting at the show. Come by, come out to the show. I'll be at NRB, National Religious Broadcasters event here in Nashville, February 20th to 23rd. We'll be exhibiting at the show. Just a one-man show. I'll just be running the booth. But if you have a faith-based podcast and you are interested in going to that show, I can get you one of our tickets to go if you come by the booth and just stop by and man the booth for a couple of hours total time, hour each day, so I can go run off to the bathroom or something like that. And I'll let you bring your stuff about your show and put it out at the booth. So I've made that offer in the past. I'd like to offer it up here to the show folks again. So I'm making that offer once more. Email me, rob@libsyn.com. And then we'll be at Podcast Movement Evolutions in LA, March 26th to 29th. That is it through the end of the first quarter. So the next basically 2 quarters plus of where we're going to be, next 7 months of places that we'll be at. And I'm sure there's going to be some others as well. We'll mention the others as they come up. For this past podcast movement, I want to say thanks to everybody that sent me your business cards. They all made it to the show. I think there was a couple people I didn't email back, but they made it to the show, and I went on Twitter and I posted up a picture, and you can see your cards there. Please, folks, if you're not going to the shows I just mentioned and you host on Libsyn and you want your cards at those shows, please send me an email, rob@libsyn.com, and I will send you my snail mail address for you to send those cards off to me. Again, if you're not going. If you are going, bring them with you, and we'll put them on the table for you. Yeah, don't. I love when people send them to me and go, "No, I'll see you at the show." I'm like, no, bring them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, switching gears. Where are you going as in the audience? Well, if you are looking for a job in podcasting, make sure you go to podcastingjobs.com. As of the end of August, beginning of September, we had 2 openings listed there. And then finally, don't forget to send in your feedback for anything we did or did not mention on this episode. You can record that feedback and email it to us, thefeed@libsyn.com, or you can call us, 412-573-1934. Or finally, you can use SpeakPipe at speakpipe.com/thefeed. Mm-hmm. Anything I forgot?
Nope. I think you got it. And we will be talking with you in a couple of weeks.
Ciao.
Bye.